It seems as though the more I learn about this story and its characters, the more I enjoy these episodes as well as look forward to the next episode. I had mentioned in my first review how I was surprised at the lack of the political side of the series, but I remembered how Tony Gilroy talked about how the season is split up into 4 arcs of 3 episodes, and I'm so glad they did it that way. While it would be nice to see what's happening with Mon Mothma in the Imperial Senate, this method of splitting the story up keeps the episodes focused on a select group of characters and lets us grow with them for a short time before swapping back and forth. I've grown very attached to a select group of characters during these 3 episodes, but I guarantee that I wouldn't care as much about them if we were constantly jumping between this storyline and Mon Mothma's, specifically a character like Brasso, who despite his limited screen time has been a standout character so far. The episode begins in the past as we see a young Cassian roaming the crashed ship and discovering all of the technology, something that he's never seen before growing up on Kenari. He begins to attack everything, and we then learn that Marva, B2, and a man are also on the ship. This part confused me very much, so hopefully someone can clarify this for me, but Marva's argument for taking Cassian is that a Republic ship is in orbit and will harm the natives since they killed a Republic officer, who I'm assuming isn't the one that we saw in the last episode. It all makes sense, other than the fact that the patch on his uniform is definitely the Separatist insignia, or at least not the Republic one. I don't think my analysis is wrong, but I trust the character dialogue, so I'm not quite sure what to make of it. Carrying on, I had theorized in my review about maybe something happening that made Cassian guilty for leaving his sister behind, but in my opinion this scenario is much more tragic. Marva presumably saved his life, but forced Cassian to leave his home and everything he knew without having a say in it because of the language barrier, meaning that Cassian is looking for a sister that may not even be alive anymore. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how Cassian reacts to being taken away, and how he learns to forgive Marva and B2 and the man who I'm assuming is the father that Luthen later refers to that was shot. Back in the present, Bix meets up with Luthen as he enters town, and I immediately loved their chemistry together. As a viewer, I can feel the experience and partnership that they have together and that they trust each other. I know Bix is still on Ferrex, but I hope we see her, Luthen, and Cassian unite again, even if it's just a small scene. Pre-Mor lands on Ferrex in a scene that I think was meant to resemble that of the First Order stormtroopers. Whatever the real purpose behind the similarity was, personally it showed just how much confidence Cyril lacks. The first time we ever saw a scene like this was a carrier full of faceless stormtroopers who ran out blasting a village on Jakku. Now, we are able to see the faces of the soldiers inside, and there's something about Cyril's constant facial expression that makes him look uncertain all the time. Maybe it's the downward gaze, or the placid expression, but hopefully this is a part of the character arc throughout the series. Otherwise, I'm sure that I'll find myself losing interest in him as the villain. We see Cassian and Luthen finally meet, and it never slowed down after that. Even though I tried to stop myself, I couldn't help but watch the scene when it was released a few weeks ago, and despite this, I still enjoyed the scene very much. In fact, it's even better than before, after getting to know more about Cassian and even a little about Luthen prior to the initial meeting. I've enjoyed almost everything we've gotten so far, but this one scene makes me the most excited to see the rest of the season play out. Cassian and Luthen are 2 very different people, and we're going to see them join together to fight back against the Empire, something both of them have done but in 2 very different ways. It was also nice to finally get an extended action sequence, even if many of us had seen it before. I honestly don't think I can put into words how much I loved the rest of the episode. The metal banging showed just how tight this community is, and Marva's remarks about a reckoning had so much more meaning and power to them. Her lines had been included in nearly every trailer or promo I saw, and yet in that context they didn't mean anything. But when you add in the metal banging and the uneasy soldiers in a place they don't know or understand, it takes on a whole new meaning. Pre-Mor moves in, and the rest of the episode was made up of solid action sequences, with short breaks that I really thought helped with the pacing of the episodes. Unlike some other Star Wars shows recently, I've never found pacing to be a problem with Andor. I'm consistently engaged in the episode and never find myself being bored. I must also admit that after Bix realized Tim knew that Cassian was from Kenari and was the one to sell him out, I didn't feel all that remorseful for his death, especially with him rushing in unarmed at multiple guards aiming their blasters at him. Good for him for standing up for Bix, but come on man, there's a better way to help her out. I mentioned earlier how Cyril lacks confidence, and we especially see it at the end of the episode. First, when Andor puts a gun to his head and threatens his life, he is quick to turn over and give up information. And once they escape, he stands there with a blank face, unsure of what to do. This definitely makes him more relatable, because so far he appears to just be an officer in over his head that just wants to do the right thing and get justice for his colleagues, but he isn't a good villain yet in my opinion. He was shown up by Cassian and Luthen, and he doesn't have the killer instinct yet to make him a threat, although we'll likely get there eventually. As the episode ends with a beautiful parallel between Cassian being taken off Kenari by Marva and Cassian being taken off Ferrex by Luthen, two separate beginnings to two distinct parts of his life, I was once again reminded just how good the score for the series has been. I've been trying to avoid comparing this to the Kenobi series as much as I can, but it seems that I sneak one in every review. I was personally let down by that score because the popular themes fill me with so much emotion, and they would have fit perfectly in that series, since it follows three of the biggest Star Wars characters ever created. But in a series like Andor that focuses on a smaller, relatively unknown character, this is where I can attach emotion to new musical pieces. Rather than the one piece that ended the second episode, I've loved every time music has been used as well as the sound effects, like the metal clanging in the episode. It sets the tone for the series so much better than any dialogue or plot could. The story really starts to pick up in Andor's third episode, as exciting conflict and masterful sounds put the characters in brand new situations, earning a rating of 9 out of 10. Let me know what you thought of the third episode in the comments below. Remember to like the video, and subscribe for more Andor coverage like this, and remember to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Thank you all for watching, and remember, the Force will be with you, always.